All right, let's go to Indiana now, where the so-called religious freedom law is stirring up more than a little bit of controversy. People are protesting and businesses threatening to pull out and even scale back when it comes to their holdings in the Hoosier state. The law, it's intended to prevent the government from forcing businesses to do things that are against their religious principles. But gay advocacy groups, they are more than ticked off, saying it opens the door to flat-out discrimination. Governor Mike Pence, he, though, is fiercely defending the law.
Look, the issue here is, is tolerance a two-way street or not? I mean, there's a lot of talk about tolerance in this country today having to do with people on the left. But here Indiana steps forward to protect the constitutional rights and privileges of freedom of religion for people of faith and families of faith in our state. And this avalanche of intolerance that's been poured on our state is just outrageous.
All right, Jeannie, I've heard convoluted logic, but that's the most tortured rationale. To be clear for anybody that came late to this story, Indiana right now is figuring out for themselves here if they want a legislation to say that if Jeannie owns a bakery, make it up, and she doesn't want to serve Dom and I as we're going to get married, you and I, and she doesn't serve us because she doesn't like gays or they're against her religious beliefs here, she can legally do so. So people are criticizing. In fact, you've got Emily's List is going to scale back a big project they had there. The NCAAs that are there are facing a ton of heat. Future Final Fours may not be coming back. We can go down the line here. Super Bowls that have been there, etc. And the rationale to do it is it's intolerant not to let people be intolerant. Do I have it right?
Yeah. And you didn't play this clip from the appearance he had with George Stephanopoulos, but Poor Governor Pence, he could not answer the question directly that Stephanopoulos asked him, which was exactly what you posed. If you come into my bakery and you are gay and I don't want to serve you, can I say no? And he refused to answer the question. Now, we should put this in context. 19 states have Religious Freedom Restoration Acts. The federal government in 1990 passed a Religious Freedom Restoration Act. This is nothing new.
The only thing, though, is you're right, but in 2015, with the climate the way it is, they're now considering enacting this. And to be fair, Indiana is not, Mississippi or it's not Utah or something else.
And it's not a good thing to do anywhere,
right,
regardless of where you are. But what I think has happened here is that tolerance and laws protecting particularly homosexual couples and gay marriage have moved so quickly. You're getting places in the middle of the country where people are saying, hey, this has come so fast, we're not ready for it. And you have legislators like Indiana who want to say, look, we're going to appeal to this evangelical crowd here, but we're going to keep it under wraps. Never expecting that you'd have Tim Cook, as you mentioned, Emily's List, all these big businesses coming out and protesting this. So I think that they've been caught because 19 other states have these laws. Nobody has talked about it, but it came out, and the way it was written in Indiana, it certainly opens it up that people could be, could legislatively be okay in terms of being discriminatory, and that's not going to fly.
Richard, explain this to me. So religious people, right? Religious people, right? And they want to have the right to not serve gay people. So you want to be able to legally discriminate against someone else? Is that what you're telling me?
It makes that the rationale is, if my faith decides that it's fine to not think of certain people the same way as others, they have a separation with church and state in this country. But that's what the role of government's supposed to do, which is to say no one can be discriminated against. You're entitled to your own religious beliefs here, but when you start bringing it into the public sphere and impacting on commerce, that's something different. I know the Supreme Court and the whole Hobby Lobby and everything else.
I was just going to say that the Supreme Court has said that this is okay. I mean, Hobby Lobby upheld the idea that if you are a company and you have the right to have religious beliefs, if you don't believe in certain forms of birth control, you can not pay for those for your employees. They upheld the Religious Freedom Restoration Act at the national level. So this is something that the Supreme Court has said is okay, at least in that limited context. So certainly this is nothing new.
Okay, but Richard, in Austin, Texas, you have a handful of businesses that have signs that say customers whites only. So after you don't serve the gay people, I guess I'm next. I guess then the brothers can't go.
Well, you got to find
And
a
I've been to
religious
Indiana,
rationale, I suppose,
you know?
for it. The governor handled this terribly.
The
they
governor
could
should
build
stick
some
to
exceptions
the
into
governor
it.
should stick to a spokesman
Yeah.
doing his or
Because,
her job.
I mean, part of what happened here, they didn't expect anybody to blink
Right,
an eye at this.
right,
They thought they
right.
were going to push this through,
Right.
appeal to the evangelicals, and
Right.
move out.
I guess what screamed out about this was when he tried to answer that, hey, by criticizing what we're doing, you're being intolerant because you're criticizing us for being intolerant. It was the most...
And by the way, we're going to hear a lot more about religious freedom from the Republicans as we get into 2016. This will be the watchword, and it will be used an
This will be
awful
a
lot as we go into 2016.
A migraine for Jeb
It's
Bush.
going to get them out in the primaries, though.
All right, let us head to Washington with a little bit local flavor. It didn't take long for New York's own Senator Chuck Schumer to angle to become the next Democratic leader. That is when Harry Reid retires. Harry Reid's already said, Dom, that he will not be running for re-election. You've covered the man. No surprise here that he's got political motivations. This has been a long time coming.
I like that, political motivations. That's another way of saying extremely ambitious.
Yes.
I saw Senator Schumer Saturday night at the Inner Circle, and I may have been a bit premature, but I said, Senator, congratulations on your promotion. And he said, thank you. So he's already moved on. But in fairness, in all seriousness now, and I did say that to him, though, in all seriousness, he's been Harry Reid's #2 guy for quite some time. And I think they had an arrangement that he would stay #2 as long as Harry Reid was in the Senate. And then when Harry Reid stepped off into the sunset, that Charles Schumer would step in.
Apparently, if you read the Times TikTok of this, you know, the words weren't even out of Harry Reid's mouth before he was already lobbying on the phone calls here. If you know Chuck Schumer, this is not a surprise, Jeannie.
It's not a surprise, and you know what? It's historic for New York. This would actually be the first New Yorker ever elected minority or majority leader of the Senate in American history. So it's historic. And the fact that Chuck Schumer, let's face it, nobody, as Don said, has worked harder. There they are. Nobody has worked harder for this. This guy
So you guys,
is 24
you don't
hours
mind
a
getting
day.
in front of the camera. You know, I'll say one thing about Schumer. He actually's worked across party lines. He's gotten a lot of deals done, more than people would think. They say, oh, New York liberal, whatever. He's actually, among Democrats, forget the talk, he's actually gotten stuff done. He's brokered some deals here. So I don't think the Republicans look at this as the worst thing ever.
Yeah.
Tough negotiator, but at the end, he doesn't want to just talk. He wants to do something.
Yeah, and the only problem he's facing is from the left of the Democratic Party, who feels like he's too beholden to Wall Street, raised too much money, and they would like somebody like Bernie Sanders or Elizabeth Warren to take the position. It's not going to happen.
I wouldn't hold their
but
breath. Yeah.
that's where he's getting the most, the most problems here.
Let me come back to the first topic this segment, which was about Indiana, and that's also subject of our online question. Head over to Facebook and Twitter and sound off yourself on our question here. Is the new law in Indiana more about religious freedom, as the governor says, or is it flat out discrimination when it comes to gays? We'll get to those comments in a coming show. Now, when we come back, though, we're going to take a look at New York City's Inner Circle show. That's right, Dominic Carter. And how also Mayor de Blasio himself skewered by A-list comedians. Our own Dominic, he was there, and he's going to give us the inside scoop. Stay with us.